Have you ever noticed that printers somehow always know the absolute worst possible time to stop working? You got a deadline, your boss is staring at you, the patient is waiting, the document is urgent, and suddenly your printer decides, nah. Welcome to episode 2 of DeeBugging, the series where we break down IT problems in a beginner-friendly way and learn how to think like a troubleshooter. And today, we're talking about everybody's favorite headache, printers. Before we jump in, a quick disclaimer. This video is intended for educational and informational purposes only. Some troubleshooting steps shown in this video may require administrative access, company approval, or assistance from your IT department. If you are working on a work computer, medical office device, domain managed system, or company-owned printer, always follow your organization's policies and procedures before making changes. Do not perform any actions you are uncomfortable with or unauthorized to perform. DeeBugging is designed to help end users and aspiring techs better understand technology and troubleshooting concepts in a beginner-friendly way. Whew, now that we got that out of the way, let's do some debugging. Before we can troubleshoot a printer, we first need to understand what a printer actually is. At its core, a printer is just another device on a network. Your computer creates data, letters, printers, documents, forms, and then sends that information either through a cable or over the network to the printer. The printer receives those instructions and translates them into a physical print. So when printing breaks, the issue could actually happen at multiple points: the computer, the network, the printer itself, the driver, the print queue, or even the document being printed. That's why troubleshooting printers can sometimes feel complicated. But don't worry, today we're going to simplify it. First, let's talk about the different kinds of printers you might see. You have companies like HP, Brother, Canon, Epson, Lexmark, Kyocera, Ricoh, Xerox, and more. Some printers are small home printers, others are giant office printers that can scan, fax, staple, email documents, and probably launch a spaceship if you press the wrong button. You also have inkjet printers, laserjet printers, wireless printers, USB printers, network printers, and print servers. And each one may behave a little differently. But thankfully, the troubleshooting mindset stays mostly the same. Now here's something important to understand about troubleshooting printers. Troubleshooting is not always about fixing something that's broken. Sometimes troubleshooting is setting something up, configuring a device, checking communication, or making sure everything was installed correctly in the first place. And printers are a perfect example of that. Because sometimes the issue isn't the printer stopped working. Sometimes the issue is the printer was never properly added to the computer to begin with. So that leads us to our first real troubleshooting topic: how to actually add a printer to a computer. There are multiple ways to add printers in Windows. Some methods are easier, some are more reliable, and some are more commonly used in business environments. Method 1, automatic discovery. The easiest method is automatic discovery. Go to Settings, Bluetooth and Devices, Printers and Scanners. Then press Add Device. Windows will scan the network looking for available printers. Now, here are the pros and cons of this. This method is beginner friendly and works great for many home environments. But in business environments, it's not always the preferred method. Sometimes printers don't appear, they appear multiple times, or Windows installs the wrong driver automatically. Let's move on to method 2. Adding by IP address. Now, here's the method many IT professionals prefer: adding the device by IP address. Why? Because it's more direct, more reliable, and gives you more control. Here's how to do it. Go to Control panel, devices and printers, add printer. Now, Windows is not going to find the printer. We don't want Windows to find the printer, actually. What we want is for Windows to eventually give us the option to select the printer I want isn't listed. Then choose add a printer using a TCP/IP address or host name. Now, type in the printer's IP address, for example, 192.168.1.50. Windows will attempt to contact the printer directly. This method is great because you know exactly which printer you're connecting to. You avoid duplicate printers, and troubleshooting becomes easier later because you already know the printer's IP address. And remember, if the printer cannot be reached by IP address, that usually points toward a network communication issue. In office environments, you may also see shared printers or print servers. This is where one central server manages printers for the entire office. In those cases, users may connect using a shared printer path that looks something like this: /office server /front desk printer. This allows IT departments to manage drivers and printer deployments more centrally. You may not always have permission to add shared printers yourself in business environments. Some companies restrict this to IT administrators. Some printers are connected directly to a computer using USB. They are usually easier to set up because Windows often detects them automatically after plugging them in. But even USB printers can still experience driver issues, queue problems, or spooler issues. So which method is usually preferred? For homeowners, automatic discovery is often fine. But for IT professionals and business environments, adding printers by via a USB cable or with the IP address is usually the cleaner and more reliable method. And honestly, once you understand how printers are added, printer troubleshooting suddenly starts making a lot more sense. One of the biggest mistakes beginners make in IT is immediately assuming the printer itself is broken. Sometimes it is, but many times the problem is actually communication. So the first thing we ask ourselves is, can the computer communicate with the printer? That question alone eliminates a lot of possibilities. Probably one of the most common issues in existence. My printer says offline. Now, let's slow down and think logically. If something is offline, that means communication has failed somewhere. So here's how we troubleshoot it. Step 1. Check if the printer is powered on. I know that sounds obvious, but trust me, IT people know. Sometimes the printer is literally just asleep or unplugged. Step 2. Check the network cable or Wi-Fi connection. If it's a wired printer, make sure the Ethernet cable is connected. If it's wireless, make sure the printer is actually connected to Wi-Fi. Step 3. Go to the Windows search bar on your computer or on the end user's computer and type Control Panel. Then go to Devices and Printers. Find the printer. If it says offline, right-click it and see if there's an option called Use Printer Offline. If that option is checked, uncheck it. And finally, step 4. Make sure the computer is connected to the correct network. This is a big one in offices. Your printer and your computer usually need to be on the same network in order to communicate properly. For example, if your printer is connected to the office network, but your laptop is connected to the guest Wi-Fi, the printer may appear offline even though nothing is actually broken. Now here's where we start getting a little more advanced. Windows uses something called the print spooler service. Think of it like a traffic manager for print jobs. When you print something, your computer places that print job into a queue. The spooler organizes and sends those jobs to the printer, but sometimes the spooler crashes.
Oh! Somebody! Oh! He needs some milk!
And when it crashes, printing breaks. Here's how we restart it. On the keyboard, press the Windows key. This will open up your Start menu. Type Services. This opens the Service app. Scroll down until you find Print Spooler. Right-click it and press Restart. And suddenly, after fighting that printer for 45 minutes, everything magically starts working again. IT in a nutshell. Another super common issue, a stuck print queue. This happens when a document gets jammed digitally inside the queue and blocks everything behind it. So even though people keep pressing print, nothing comes out. Here's how to fix it. Go back to Devices and Printers, right-click the printer, select See What's Printing. If you see documents stuck there forever, you can right-click and cancel them. Sometimes they refuse to disappear. That's when we restart the print spooler again. And this is important. Good troubleshooting is about patterns. If restarting the spooler fixes the issue once, cool. If it happens constantly, now we investigate deeper. Maybe the driver is corrupted, Windows updates broke something, or the printer firmware needs updating. Now, let's talk about drivers. A printer driver is basically a translator. Your computer speaks one language, the printer speaks another. The driver helps them understand each other. If the wrong driver is installed, you may notice gibberish printing, blank pages, missing printers, or failed print jobs. You can usually go into Devices and Printers, right-click the printer, and select Printer Properties to check what driver is installed. Sometimes reinstalling the printer completely fixes everything. Make sure you always go to the manufacturer's website to install the drivers for the specific printer you are working on. Now, let's say the printer exists on the network, but users still can't print. Now we start thinking like network troubleshooters. The computer has to find the printer on the network. That means both devices need to communicate correctly. One thing IT may do is open command prompt and use ping. For example, we're going to ping 192.168.1.50. If reply comes back, great, the printer is alive on the network. If the ping fails, now we suspect network problems, wrong IP addresses, Wi-Fi issues, or the printer disconnected from the network. Now let's talk about something called the printer's web console. A lot of modern network printers actually have their own built-in web page. And this web page lets IT professionals check printer status, view errors, check toner levels, configure settings, restart the printer, and sometimes even update firmware. Now, this is important. Not every user should change settings inside the printer console, especially in business environments. But learning how to access it, that is a very useful troubleshooting skill. First, we need the printer's IP address. Think of an IP address like the printer's home address on the network. One common way to find it is go to your control panel, Devices and Printers, right-click the printer, select Printer Properties, then look for ports. You may see the IP address listed there. Some printers also display their IP address directly on the printer screen itself or within its Wi-Fi or network settings. Once you have the IP address, open a web browser like Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, or Firefox. Then type the IP address directly into the address bar. just the IP address. For example, 192.168.1.50 and press enter. If the printer is reachable on the network, the printer's web console should open. From there, you may see printer status, warnings, paper jam alerts, low toner notifications, network settings, or device information. Now, here's where troubleshooting logic becomes important again. If the web console doesn't open, that tells us something. Maybe the printer is offline, the IP address changed, the printer is disconnected from the network, or the computer cannot communicate with the printer. And remember, be careful inside printer web consoles. Changing random settings without understanding them can break printer connectivity for an entire office. So for beginners, focus more on checking status, reading errors, and gathering information first. And honestly, a lot of troubleshooting in IT is exactly that, gathering information before making changes. Here's a real-world example. Imagine a user says, I can print from one computer, but not another. That tells us something huge. The printer probably isn't broken, because if one computer can print, the printer works. Now we narrow the issue down to that specific computer. Or maybe a user says, the printer works for everybody except me. Again, that points towards permissions, drivers, or profile-related issues. Or maybe nothing in the office can print. And while it is in fact an intimidating headache, we can think network outage, printer power issue, or printer server problem. Good luck. Not all printer problems are software though. Sometimes the printer itself is struggling. Paper jams, low toner, low ink, dirty rollers, misfeeds, overheating, maintenance kits, waste toner containers, drums, fusers. Office printers have a lot going on inside them. For hardware repair, every office is different. They may have an on-site technician that handles that, or they may have a contract with the manufacturer where that company will send out a technician to service the printer. Make sure to always confirm with your company whether they have an on-site technician or a contract with the manufacturer. If for some reason the printer is giving an error message, read the error message. Seriously, a lot of people panic and ignore the message entirely, but printers will often literally tell you paper jam tray 2, and people will somehow check tray 4. At the end of the day, printer troubleshooting is less about memorizing fixes and more about learning how to think. Ask yourself, what changed? Who is affected? Can the computer see the printer? Can the network see the printer? Is the issue physical or software related? Is it affecting one person or everybody? That mindset, that's what makes a good troubleshooter. And that wraps up episode 2 of DeeBugging. Today we learned what printers are, how they communicate, common printer problems, how to restart the printer spooler, how to clear print queues, how drivers work, and how IT professionals logically troubleshoot printer issues. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you like, follow, and subscribe for more beginner-friendly IT content. And let me know down in the comments what printer issue has annoyed you the most. Trust me, we've all suffered. Thank you again, guys, for the support, and until next time.